Hi, welcome to the channel. I'm Andy Jenkinson, the caravan industry expert. Hi, welcome to the channel and welcome to all my subscribers who regularly watch. Big first thing I want to do is say a big thank you for everybody that's been commenting lately. It's been fabulous. Yeah, it's really heartwarming really, to sound without sounding a bit silly, but it really is, and it's very encouraging because, you know, doing these YouTube videos is really my sort of, if you like, part-time job. And I do like doing them. Didn't at first. Wasn't over keen. A friend of mine, as I said, if you've watched other vlogs, he sort of bamboozled me into it a little bit. We were looking at doing it back in around about 2011. I'd made a few little videos on my first digital camera I had. But I never did anything with them and I scrapped them. I just thought nobody would be interested really. I wish I hadn't scrapped them now, I wish I'd have kept them. But they probably looked a bit naff. But anyway, we're back to 2023 and yeah, so thank you, as I say, for everybody that's been sending the comments. A few new names have appeared on there and that's good. And what you're saying you'll do like is the honest reviews, and to be quite honest, I sort of pride myself a little bit about that. I know some people might be upset at some of the comments. I don't mean to upset anybody, but I'm just sort of telling people what I think. You know, I've seen thousands of caravans really over my active 40 plus years of looking around caravans. Well, actually since around 1970 actually with my parents, and going up and weighing things up then. So yeah, so the channel really is, you know, I just use my experience really, and without sounding really big-headed, I don't know if anybody else has really got that on YouTube at all. In fact, I don't really know anybody else got that on YouTube, and I'm not being, don't take me wrong on that, and I hope my subscribers don't think I'm being a big-headed so-and-so, but I don't. Anyway, what I was going to do on this vlog is, it's Harrogate show, I've told you about that before, so I'm going to go, I'll do some snapshots of that. Now, they're really boosting this show up because it should have been around in 2020, and of course it wasn't due to the virus thing, so we're a little bit stuck there. So it's had quite a lot of sort of, it's had a failed start really for several years. I don't know if anybody went to the old, what they called the old Lawns show. The Lawns was at the at Cottingham, and it was at the university there. And I first went there in 1984, and I went there every year till 2019. So I saw a lot of changes, lots of manufacturers come and go. In those days, Baylor even exhibited there. And I think I saw the launch of the Senators there. It was always a lovely weather we had until I think like the late 80s, and I remember we had some really wet Lawns trade shows. But the good thing about the Lawns was there was always another show nearby. Now it ended up going up to the golf course, and which was about a mile or so away, and previous to that it could be anywhere. It could be sort of, I remember going to one on Gibson Lane at Melton, not all that far away from Cottingham, and that's where I saw the very first Van Royce caravans. Anybody remembers them? That was in 1986, because the first model years are 87, and I remember going and seeing the very first ones there, and they were around about £6,000, which seemed a lot of money at the time, but they came with loads of stuff. And I remember then talking to Tommy Green, who I got to know very well years later on. But it was a different show. You got some of the smaller manufacturers, actually now sadly long gone, And ABI in the old days never appeared at the lawns. They used to have theirs at the factory. I remember going to the factory a few times. On the car park, they'd have all the new Touras and Hardy homes out there. And then they went up to the Beverley Racecourse, and I remember going on one or two lovely trade days there and having lovely meals in the restaurant before viewing the latest tours from ABI. So that has got a lot of history for me, and probably a lot of the older dealers or manufacturers around may remember those. I don't know many people that do, to be honest, but maybe that's a sad reflection on me. Anyway, so yes, we've got the Harrogate show, and the thing is, I don't think there's going to be the people there on the Hardy home side at all as there used to be, and that's a shame, because as I say, at the old golf course show, which is just above the road, say above the road from Lawns, you'd see some new manufacturers, small manufacturers, some that came bigger, and I think that's going to be a thing of the past, which is rather a shame. There's going to be motorhomes there as well, and I think they're trying to make it like a big outdoor show, very commercialised, which, yeah, I understand that's got to happen. But yes, I do still remember the old lawn show, and when I used to go there used to be just, the only thing you could do was get burgers from the students, and which were always surrounded by wasps, and also an ice cream van. And then several accessory manufacturers started turning up, and a little fairground for kids, with my daughter going on there, and it became a little more commercial, but it wasn't too commercial. It was like, I think it used to be about £2 or £3 to get in. I noticed on the Yorkshire show now, on this new Harrogate Yorkshire show, it's going to be like £12.50. So for two adults, that's £25 to get in the show for an outdoor show. I'm sure it'll be worth it. And I hope it's a success, because it's a lot closer for me to get there. It's a good hour off my travelling time, and it's a far nicer route as well. I'm going to be going over the moors and everything there. It's a great drive. So I'm looking forward to that. Maybe after a couple of visits there. But anyway, the other thing was on the books. Now, as you know, I'm struggling on a new book, well, two new books, and I don't think the publisher is going to be too happy, especially on one book, because it's been going on for some years. And that was mainly down to the fact that COVID came in, publishers never heard anything of them, so I just came to a halt to that. I never even went any further. I thought, I don't want to be doing work, and then nobody comes along and wants it. And then, of course, after COVID, all of a sudden, was a letter through, an email through, oh, how are you getting on with the book? Well, I hadn't started, had I? I'd only just sort of been mooching around. So the visual history of the motorhome, really, chapter 1's been done, chapter 2's on its go. Quite a bit of scanning in, because there's 200 images to go in there, dating back from the 1920s up to the present day. And of course, I've been getting lots of extra material, actually. So it's like, oh, I'm going to save that to the next chapter or whatever. So yeah, there's that. But anyway, the other thing is it is now 25 years since this book was published. My very first book. I have to forgive my cup of tea there and the mess of this. The wife will go mad. And on this one, actually, I dedicated that to my daughter. I mean, my daughter, the book was out before. But I dedicated that to her. But anyway, this is Unvolution Publishing. Now, you can still get this book, but you can't get it. You've got to get it on Kindle, which I personally don't like books. I like a book, you know what I mean, one you can sort of get to grips with. You can find these second hand. This is a first issue copy, which is hardback, but they did do a second print run, which was softback. Now, some people have been selling these books for £280 each. Personally, I don't think they'll get it, but I know some people in the States and Australia have put them at quite high prices. I used to get people coming on and say, I want to buy your book, but I sold it for £250. And I say, no, it's not worth £250, honestly. Or they buy the second reissue copy for like £50, £60. Because the books now, as I say, are now out of print. You can get them only on Kindle. My first book, that book was in the planning from about 1994. And I kept thinking to myself, I want to do this book. My family used to say, when are you going to do this book? And I said, oh, well, I'm going to get round to it. And they'll say, oh no, you'll never do it. And I think, probably won't. And then some years later, I was at, I went to collect some archive material from a guy in Bradford, vintage motor shop, and I'd been in touch with them, and they said, yeah, come across, got a few bits and pieces, which they had. So the guy got talking to me, Chris, and well, anyway, after an hour or so and a cup of tea, he just said to me, look, you know, you've got a hell of a knowledge of this industry. He said, why aren't you doing anything about it? I said, well, I'll do for the magazines. No, he said, you need to do a book. And I said, well, yeah, I've thought about that. He said, well, think about it, it's not doing it. And I went, no, you're absolutely right. But I said, I can't, you know, it's getting it sorted, getting a publisher. And he said, I'll tell you what, he said, I'll publish it. So, anyway, cut long story short, he came and visited me at home. We had various discussions, even to the cover design. Anyway, I decided at that time, look, you know, I don't think this is going to be now a good idea. And I'd really not want to go down the self-publishing route. I don't like self-publishing, really. I mean, I know you can do it on, is it on Amazon or something? Because people say, oh, why don't you go and do it? But you can do it. And you go, to me, how can I put it without being funny? It's, you know, I only think, really, you get something like a book published, or it's because the publisher actually knows what he's thinking. You know what I mean? He knows what he's doing, and he thinks, you know, I've got somebody here who knows what they're doing. So, you know, in that case, we'll go ahead with it. And you put your ideas forward, your chapter breakdowns, your wordage. And, you know, I mean, I've been rejected by some publishers, obviously, you do, you get plenty of rejections. But at the end of it, you know, they choose, and you know that they're doing it because they know they know how to sell books. So that's why I'd rather have, like, a second opinion. If it's no good, then I don't publish. I mean, that's not to say I won't self-publish at some stage, but I don't really want to go down that route. Anyway, so the book idea was floated to Veloci Publishing, and the guy who started that, Rod Granger, and his wife, he'd been with Haynes Manual people, so he knew all the things about publishing, and he decided to do books as such. So Chris in Bradford put me through to Veloci. I sent a letter. Yes, those are the days when you used to write letters. And the letter came back. Of course, they wanted to know what's what. And anyway, in the end, they commissioned a book. They also commissioned a second book because I said it should be done in two books. And I set to work on this book. Now, the thing was, back then, they used to send all your material out, and they would do the scanning. Things have changed since the 90s, of course, and things have got better. Looking at it now, I mean, a lot of people used to come up to me and say, we really like that book, it's a really good book, blah, blah, blah. I'll turn you back on me again. But looking at it now, I think to myself, yeah, it was all right, but there was so much I could have done to improve on that book. Some of the, you know, I'd just used different images and things like that, and but I was proud when it came through the post, and it came through. I was really proud of that book. The Caravan Motorhome Club, as it's now known, they did a bit of a thing on it. and the Camden Caravan Club, some of the classic car magazines did, and gave it all 5 stars. And yeah, I was quite pleased with it. It took me quite a long time to do, but having said that, there was a lot of work went into it. Especially it being your first one, you want to get it on and you want to do a good job, don't you? You know, you don't want to sort of full foul. Anyway, so it's 25 years ago since that first book was published, and as I say, it went to reprint, went to a soft copy, soft cover, and I know it gets bandied about. I know people who read it who secretly think they don't. I don't know they read it, or I won't get your book, but things come out of it that are in the book. What I do hate, and it has happened quite a few times with the books, is people have taken snippets out and then reinterpreted it, and actually the information then becomes wrong. Because a lot of these information in these books are literally from people of the industry at the time that are long gone dead, that I spoke to. I was very fortunate just to catch them really before they went. Sam Alper being one, and he was a great help on the set. But in fact, this book, I actually did a presentation signed to Sam Alper on a big CI reunion that was in about 1997, 97 I think it was. And I went down to Newmarket and we went to Sam's house, and he had a big barn there where in the old days for the trade, when it was Caravans International, everybody used to have big barbecues. I believe it was fantastic. Anyway, we went in there, had a big CI reunion, there was people there, I spoke to loads of people, and in the end, there was about 300 odd people there, and I did a little article for a magazine on it, and for a trade magazine, and basically what happened then was, I was just coming out the toilets, and one of the CI guys came up to me, so he said, "You've got this book to present." I said, "Yeah, I'm going to give it to Sam after." He goes, "No, we want you to do it now." So I said, "Well, okay." He said, "No," he said, "before everybody has the meal." So I had to do. So I thought, I was really, really, really nervous. So I went onto like the stage, because they had like a stage thing there, and with the book that had been signed, and they said, "Here's Andy Jenkinson, blah blah blah. He's written this book, and he's going to present it to Mr. Sam Alper, OBE, whatever, and he's also going to make a speech." And I was a bit taken aback, to say the least. So I made me presentation to Sam. We shook hands, and then I had to make this speech. And I just had to pull out on the top of my head all the resources I knew on CI Group, and I went on about how CI had started off and how big major company they'd been, and people were cheering. It was quite incredible, and the more they cheered, the more I went on, and it was like being at a football stadium, and you're saying, "We've got the best team, yeah," and that's what it was like. And it was incredible, and I just said, "Oh, CI had such a big influence on the industry," and people were absolutely applauding me, and it really felt surreal, to be honest. Anyway, I said me goodbyes, and as I came up, I had several people coming up to me. "Oh, great speech! Oh, good how you brought up the old CI days, and we remember this," and it was great. And I think I sold a few copies just off that of the book, but. Yeah, so things like that sort of stick in my mind. It was a good experience to see a lot of people that had been in the industry, apart from NCI Group had been a major manufacturer. So that was the book. So really, 25 years, first book published, 15 more followed after that, which I didn't ever think that would happen. I thought maybe doing 1 or 2 more, and that was it. But just sort of the ideas came off. But also on Amazon, there's the Micro Caravan book by Veloci. That never materialised. That is still in several chapters in folders in my archives, actually. and that was ran on for 10 years, and they just said, look, you know, we're calling it a day. And I said, okay, fine, I understand. I was heavily involved with magazines by then, had to make money, and because of books you don't make hardly much money at all. You know, you got to sell thousands of them. You know, the amount of work that goes into them, to be quite honest with you, and that's all the books. If it was magazine work, let's put it this way, I'd be doing all right. And when you see the royalties coming in, it would maybe fill your tank up with diesel or petrol, whatever you have. But that's it. But I do it because I just want to get that. I just want to share that knowledge, and I just think it's important to keep this industry's heritage alive, because without the books, I don't think really much should have been really written properly. And I know there's a few books out there, and you shouldn't knock anybody, but there are some there that have got incorrect information in them. But anyway, that's how it goes. But so anyway, I just thought I'd tell you that it's 25 years. I'm quite pleased with the fact. Hold it up again. So it's available on Kindle. Go on to Amazon, you can order it. As I say, that's my original copy I got from the publisher. There's all the other books there as well. And the micro caravan book I didn't go completely to waste, because I teamed up with a very, very, very small publisher who did a lot of books like this. I'm trying to think what they call now. Auto review books, and this one was on motorhomes, published about before this book of mine, by a guy called John Hanson, and it was a real nice little book. And I teamed up with a guy who started those off, and we did one on micro caravans and motorhomes. Now that is available if you look. I've seen it on eBay, but it's a hard book to track down, in all fairness. So if you're wanting a copy, it's got all micro caravans in there, micro motorhomes, camper vans. It's not a brilliant, I say not a brilliant book, I shouldn't reword that, in size. And I'd like to do something like a dedicated micro caravan book, because I think it warrants it. They've been around since the 1920s. So anyway, on that note, I'll leave you, because this vlog is just running on and on and on, and I never shut up. I'm going to have my cup of tea, then I'm going to go out and go and do a bit, I suppose. But thanks for watching, and I hope I've not sent you to sleep with this vlog. I'll see you on the next one, on the next videos. Bye for now. Thanks for watching.